Hey everyone, welcome back, and this is my review of Yona of the Dawn, Episode 6. Now, getting right into this review. First off, what I didn't expect is this episode to start out all serious, and then for it to get kind of humorous later on. Even though this is a comedy anime, I kind of figured that the humor was, for the most part, gone in this series. Okay, like it might pop up every now and then, but for the most part, it was going to remain serious. It's not a huge complaint, but I think I would have kind of preferred it that way, quite honestly. But either way, though. So in this episode, oh boy. What is there to say about this? Apparently, Hawk and Yona are presumed dead. They fell off a cliff, and they're presumed dead. Suwon's been notified about this, and there's something really strange about that fire tribe leader or whatever, the one who blamed himself for Yona's death. He actually seemed genuinely sad about it. Here's the thing, though. It's clear that he was in love with Yona, but his love is more like an obsession, though, which is why you can't really say that he's an immensely likable character, you know what I mean? He's obsessed with Yona, to the point that it's actually kind of frightening, okay? Why? Who knows? This is probably just because of her looks, which also makes him extremely fucking shallow. Okay? But with Hawk, it's kind of obvious at this point that Hawk is falling in love with Yona. With Hawk, I'm pretty sure that it's a more genuine, like, love. Okay? Like, romance and whatnot. Okay? Another thing that was thought was really strange about this episode was actually Suwon. Because Suwon... Are they trying to make us feel sympathy for Suwon? Because he murdered the king, but in this episode he seemed really sad that Yona was dead. Okay, and yet I could sense that he probably seemed relieved at the same time that it wasn't him that had to do it. Okay, but because he does have a pretty interesting inner monologue in this episode, where he basically talks about how he constantly had to walk over people his entire life, and this time around he's had to walk over both Hawk and Princess Yona, which is kind of fucked up in a way, but throughout the entirety of his inner monologue you can kind of see that he probably still did care for Princess Yona, but he had some goals in mind of becoming the new king, and in his mind those goals superseded how much he cared for Yona. Now, was it love that he felt for her? Who knows? There's also an interesting flashback that we saw with Suwon and Hawk, in which Hawk actually suggests to Suwon that he should become the next king, and after he does, Suwon tells Hawk to protect Yona. So, did Suwon get this idea from Hawk? Now, obviously I'm not blaming this on Hawk. Hawk would never have meant for Suwon to murder the fucking king and force his way to the throne, okay? Obviously, that's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying it's kind of interesting if Suwon actually did get the idea from Hawk and thought that's what Hawk meant. It's kind of interesting, kind of funny in a way, actually, that they actually decided to show that, okay? And really, like, Suwon's true objectives, though, are still a mystery. We even have, Hawk and Yona's grandfather in this episode, basically telling Suwon that once he sees progress, he'll acknowledge Suwon as the new king, which Suwon accepts gladly. Okay. However, he also has an inner monologue himself, saying, what happened to the Suwon that I once knew? Am I never going to see that innocent smile again? So clearly, Suwon's a lot different than he used to be, and we've already seen this, but this is just reaffirming that. But still, we know little to nothing about his true objectives. But then again, like I keep saying, I believe it's going to be a 2-core series, so I do have plenty of time for that. Okay. But overall, I thought this was, once again, a very good episode of Yona. Okay. Like, right now, Hawk is in a coma. Or, I'm pretty sure it's a coma. Either way, he's passed out. He's just barely survived the fall. Okay, and both him and Yona were treated back to health again by this monk and his friend. All right, who lives somewhere. I'm guessing out in the wilderness. That's not. I'm guessing that where they live isn't really attached to any of the like 4 tribes. Okay, or technically 5 because the kingdom. I don't because the kingdom of Koka. I don't think is part of the other 4 tribes technically. But anyways, though. So yeah, and Hawk is in really fucking bad shape. Now, in this episode, he was really fucking badass as always with his fighting. Despite being poisoned and getting the shit beaten out of him, he was still able to not only fight really fucking amazingly, but also survive long enough to get the poison basically drained out of his system by these two men who saved them, and get his wounds treated. Okay, so yeah, he's pretty fucking tough. Okay, and it's no wonder why he's called the Thunder Beast of Koka. Okay, but that being said, I don't think he's going to be fighting again for a while. After this, I really don't think he's going to be up and about again for a while. Even when he does get up and about, I'm pretty sure it's going to be a while before he'll be able to fight again like he has before. Okay, but either way, I really enjoyed this episode once again. If you have yet to see this week's episode of Yona, then I definitely recommend that you do. Still lots of mysteries here, but this is only episode 6. I think this series is really good. Studio Period is doing an amazing job with it so far. I cannot wait for next week's episode of Yona. So anyways, overall, I hope you enjoyed this review, guys. See you after, guys. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye.